November 28, 1944. Somewhere east of Honshu, Japan. The Pacific night is a black ocean swallowing sound and starlight alike. Beneath it, 300 feet below the waves, the USS Archerfish, SS 311, glides silently through the darkness, a steel predator hunting by ear, breath, and faith. Inside the control room, the air is thick with sweat and machine oil. Red lights cast long shadows across the faces of the crew. Lieutenant Commander Joseph Enright stands over the radar console, one hand gripping the periscope well for balance as the sub rocks gently with the current. A faint beep repeats in the stillness, steady, rhythmic, alive. The young radar operator, Seaman First Class John Adams, leans forward, eyes fixed on the green phosphor screen. "Contact bearing 245 degrees, Adams whispers. "Range 23,000 yards, moving fast, really fast." Enright's eyes narrow. Nothing moves that fast out here. Not freighters, not tankers. "Surface contact?" he asks. "Yes, sir, large one. Speed at least 18 knots. The commander's heart begins to pound. In the dying months of 1944, Japanese shipping has grown cautious, desperate. Most convoys hug the coastlines under cover of night. But this contact, is moving bold and alone, slicing straight through open ocean. "Bring her to radar depth," Enright orders. "Let's have a look at our ghost." The Archerfish rises slowly, the hull creaking under the pressure shift. The periscope breaches the surface, a single droplet of seawater running down the lens. Enright rotates the scope, scanning. Nothing but darkness and spray. The sea is empty, but the radar says otherwise. He wipes the lens and catches it. A faint silhouette against the horizon, immense and low to the water, running without lights. His breath catches. That's no freighter. He watches the distant shape slide through the mist like a mountain adrift. The outline is unmistakable. Long, flat, a massive island of steel. A carrier. He lowers the scope. "Battle stations, all hands prepare for attack." The order ripples through the submarine. Men rush to their positions, their faces pale but focused. Enright studies the chart. The contact is heading southwest, likely from Yokosuka towards the inland sea. The sub's position is poor, ahead but slightly abeam. To strike, he'll have to shadow the target through the night, invisible and patient. "Sir," the exec mutters, "if we surface now, she could spot our silhouette." Enright shakes his head. "We won't surface, not yet. We'll track her by radar, keep our eyes in the dark." Above them, the giant ship cuts across the waves like a phantom. What Enright doesn't know, what no one on Archerfish can know, is that they've just found the Shinano, the largest aircraft carrier ever built. A converted battleship hull of the Yamato class, over 70,000 tons of armor and ambition. She's so new she hasn't even been painted properly. And she's sailing without a destroyer screen, relying on secrecy instead of strength. In the cramped radar room, the green blip moves steady across the display. Hours pass. The air grows stale, every man aboard holding the same silent thought. What are we hunting? At 2300 hours, Enright gives his next order. "Come to heading 180, maintain shadow. Stay in her wake, we'll strike before dawn." The Archerfish begins its long, deadly pursuit through the night, every ping of the radar like a heartbeat leading them closer to a monster no one on board has ever seen. November 29, 1944, 0200 hours. The Pacific is a mirror of ink, unbroken except for the slow churn of propellers far above. Inside the USS Archerfish, time stretches thin, a waiting game between shadows. Every sound, every vibration in the hull could mean life or death. Commander Joseph Enright stands at the plotting table, a pencil trembling slightly in his gloved hand. The radar trace remains steady, still moving southwest, still fast. He's been tracking the target for 6 straight hours, never surfacing, never blinking. The executive officer, Lieutenant Commander Jack Llewellyn, leans close. "She's zigzagging every 20 minutes, he says quietly. "Standard evasive pattern." Enright nods. She knows someone's out here. He studies the speed reports. The target's holding 18 knots. That's unheard of for a Japanese carrier under wartime fuel shortages. It can mean only one thing: new engines, powerful ones. Range? 14,000 yards and closing. Keep us deep. Ahead 1/3, maintain bearing. In the torpedo room, sailors load 6 Mark 14 torpedoes into their tubes. The weapons are long, silver beasts, each 21 inches wide, each with a 643-pound warhead of Torpex explosive. The men handle them like relics, reverent and tense. Chief Torpedoman Frank Fendrick wipes a smear of grease from his hands and mutters to no one, "If we hit her clean, she's done." The man beside him grins nervously. If we hit her clean. They all know the truth. The Mark 14s have a reputation for failure. Running too deep, failing to detonate. Enright's career depends on them now. At 0330, the radar operator speaks up. Target's turning south. Correction, southeast. Still zigzagging. Enright frowns. Heading for Tokyo Bay, maybe Kure. He glances at the fuel gauge. They've been shadowing for nearly 7 hours. One wrong maneuver and they'll lose her in the dark. Then, through the stillness, comes a faint sound. Mechanical, rhythmic, alien. The sonar man's voice cuts through the tension. Prop noise increasing. Multiple shafts, large screws. Enright exhales. That confirms it. Battleship-class propulsion. He stares at the chart, realization dawning. Gentlemen, we're tracking something enormous. He looks around the room, meeting each man's eyes. We stay on her. No mistakes, will strike when she changes course again. Minutes become hours. The crew move like ghosts through the sub. Silent, purposeful, hollow-eyed from exhaustion. The radar operator calls ranges in a whisper. 9,000 yards. 8,000. At 0400, Enright gives the command. Prepare to surface. Battle stations will attack from radar range. No periscope, no lights. Llewellyn hesitates. Sir, you want to attack blind? Not blind, Enright says quietly. We've got radar. She doesn't. The ballast tanks hiss as Archerfish rises to the surface, breaking through the cold Pacific night. Waves slap against the hull, the stars faint behind low clouds. The radar antenna unfurls, spinning slowly. The operator's voice steadies them. Contact steady. Range 7,000 yards. She's huge, skipper. Like a mountain. Enright peers through the darkness. Nothing. Only the low hum of the engines and the echo of his own heartbeat. He takes a breath. All ahead full. We'll run parallel. Wait for her next zig. At 0412, the carrier begins to turn. A broad, lazy sweep to starboard. Enright sees his opening. That's it, he snaps. Come left 10 degrees, flood tubes 1 through 6. A quiet murmur ripples through the control room. The tension is physical, pressing in on every man. Range, 1,400 yards, the radar operator reports. Angle on the bow, 70 port. Stand by to fire, Enright says. Ready. He grips the firing key, eyes fixed on the radar scope. The blip moves into the kill zone. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, fire 4, fire 5, fire 6. The submarine jolts slightly with each launch. The torpedoes rush into the sea, invisible streaks of death racing toward their target. Then, silence. Only the slow tick of the stopwatch in Enright's hand. Runs 20 seconds, 30, 40. A minute passes, nothing. Then the sonar operator whispers, voice trembling. Multiple explosion, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A muffled roar ripples through the water. The submarine shudders. The lights flicker. Enright allows himself a thin smile. We hit her, but no one cheers yet. The Pacific holds its breath. Up above, the Shinano slows, smoke rising faintly into the pre-dawn sky. The largest carrier in history has just been struck by 6 torpedoes, and her crew doesn't yet know she's already dying. 0430 hours. November 29th, 1944. The ocean swells softly beneath the wounded behemoth. Shinano, pride of the Imperial Japanese Navy, now drifts at reduced speed, her wake broken and uneven. Deep inside her armored hull, compartments flood one after another. bulkheads groaning like tortured metal. The carrier's captain, Toshio Abe, grips the rail of the bridge, his knuckles white. "Damage control!" he shouts. "Seal compartments 7 through 10. Bring up the pumps!" Below deck, sailors wade through waist-deep water as the emergency lights flicker red. Steam hisses from ruptured pipes. Somewhere near the hangar deck, a fire crackles, spreading through the stored aviation fuel. The engineers had warned the Navy before launch. Shinano was unfinished. Watertight doors incomplete, pumps untested, crew untrained. But Tokyo had demanded she sail anyway, her massive frame carrying aircraft, torpedoes, and fuel bound for the Philippines. Her size was supposed to make her invincible. Now that same size is her curse. On the Archer Fish, Commander Joseph Enright stares at the sonar readout, listening to the chaos unfolding through the water. Faint metallic groans, distant explosions, the slow thud of dying machinery. "She's hurting bad," says the sonar operator quietly. Enright nods. "Stay deep, we'll watch her bleed from below." The submarine glides silently at 200 feet, listening. Through the hull, the ocean trembles. A distant, rhythmic thumping. Pumps straining against the flood. In the torpedo room, Chief Vendrick lights a cigarette, exhaling slowly. "We really got her, didn't we?" The man beside him smirks nervously. "You think she'll go down?" Vendrick shrugs. "Nobody builds a ship that big to die easy." Up on the surface, Shinano's damage control. Teams fight desperately. Sailors hammer steel patches over holes the size of trucks. Others drag hoses through flooding decks, coughing from fumes and smoke. The list to starboard grows. 3 degrees, 5-7. Captain Abe refuses to admit defeat. "Get her back to Yokosuka," he orders. "We'll make port by sunrise." But the ocean has other plans. The water pressure increases with every ton she takes on. Her great engines sputter and die. The bow dips lower. Crewmen run for the stern, but their boots slip on oil-slicked decks. A massive groan echoes through the hull, the sound of a giant breaking. At 0700, as dawn begins to pale the horizon, Archer Fish surfaces cautiously. The radar picks up the crippled carrier, now barely moving. Smoke coils into the morning sky, carried by the wind. Enright lifts his binoculars. Through the haze, the carrier looms like a dying fortress. Its flight deck sagging, her paint still fresh. The imperial sun barely visible through the smoke. "Good God," he whispers. "Look at the size of her." The exec murmurs, "We shouldn't even be seeing that ship. Intel says Japan has nothing left that big afloat." Enright lowers the binoculars, his face unreadable. "Then we just killed a ghost." The radar shows her slowing, from 10 knots to 8, then 5. Every minute her speed drops further. At 0800 she stops completely. "Captain," the sonar man reports softly. "The screws have gone silent." For a long moment no one speaks. The crew of the Archer Fish listen as the Pacific resumes its steady rhythm. Wave over wave, indifferent to the death of giants. At 10:10, the hydrophones pick up the last sound of Shinano. A deep, drawn-out rumble, then a hollow boom that rolls through the water like thunder. The carrier is gone. Enright closes his eyes. He knows what that means. Somewhere above, 2,400 men are struggling in oil and debris. He feels the weight of it, even in victory. "Mark the position," he says quietly. "We'll report to Pearl." The Archer Fish turns west, disappearing beneath the rising sun, leaving behind nothing but bubbles and the memory of the largest ship ever lost to a submarine. That night, as the crew finally rests, Enright writes in his log, "Engaged large carrier at 0340 hours. Fired 6 torpedoes. All hits confirmed. Ship sank approximately 10 hours later. Target unidentifiable. God help the souls aboard her." He doesn't yet know her name, Shinano, or her significance. That revelation will come weeks later, when Japanese records confirm it. 1 submarine, 6 torpedoes, 1 impossible kill. The hunter had slain the monster. Pearl Harbor Naval Base. December 1944. The morning sun spills across the Pacific. Glinting off the grey hulls of docked submarines, the USS Archerfish slides slowly into berth, her conning tower painted with 6 fresh kill marks, 5 for smaller ships sunk in previous patrols, and 1 newly added, a red rising sun, larger than the rest. The crew gathers on deck, their uniforms salt-stained, faces gaunt from weeks at sea. They expect little more than the usual handshake and resupply. After all, no one truly knows what they sank, only that it was big, fast, and now gone. Commander Joseph Enright steps ashore, his logbook tucked under his arm. A naval intelligence officer greets him. "Good work, Commander. Your radar track and attack report made Tokyo radio chatter go wild. They're hiding something big." Enright frowns. "A new carrier, maybe?" The officer shrugs. "Or a ghost ship. Hard to tell with the Japanese these days. It takes weeks for the truth to surface." On December 31st, an encrypted dispatch arrives from the Office of Naval Intelligence. Confirmed target, IJN Shinano. Displacement approximately 70,000 tons. Converted from 3rd Yamato-class battleship. Sunk by USS Archerfish on November 29, 1944. Enright reads the message twice, then a third time. He sets it down slowly, eyes wide in disbelief. 70,000 tons, the largest warship ever built. Bigger than the Bismarck, heavier than any American carrier afloat, and his 6 torpedoes, fired in the blind, guided only by radar and instinct, had sent it to the bottom. The crew is stunned when he shares the news. The mess hall erupts in cheers, laughter, disbelief. Chief Fendrick pounds the table. "We killed a monster in the dark!" Someone else yells, "The biggest damn ship in the world!" Enright smiles just slightly. "The ocean doesn't care how big you are," he says quietly. News spreads through the Pacific Fleet like wildfire. The Archerfish becomes legend almost overnight. Reporters from Honolulu arrive, sketching diagrams, taking photographs. The men pose awkwardly beside their submarine, unaware that they've just entered naval history. But the Japanese records, recovered years later, reveal the true scope of what happened that night. The Shinano was not ready for combat. She sailed with 2,400 men, hundreds of them still training. Her watertight doors had not yet been sealed. Her pumps and internal valves were incomplete. The 6 torpedoes from Archerfish tore through her like paper. Flooding decks never meant to face battle. Captain Toshio Abe had tried everything, counter-flooding, pumps, steering adjustments, but his ship was doomed from the first explosion. At 10:18 a.m. on November 29th, he gave the order to abandon ship. Minutes later, the Shinano rolled slowly onto her side and slipped beneath the waves. Only 1,080 men survived. When Enright hears the details later, he sits alone in his cabin, staring out over Pearl Harbor's still water. Victory has never felt so heavy. War isn't about glory, he writes in his diary that night. It's about who sees first and who fires straight. By war's end, Archerfish would complete 5 patrols and earn the Presidential Unit Citation. Enright himself would be decorated with the Navy Cross, yet he never boasted of the Shinano. When reporters asked how it felt to sink the largest ship ever built, he always gave the same answer. "It was our job. We did it right and we came home." Years later, divers would locate the wreck of Shinano, resting upright in the dark silence of the Philippine Sea, 4,000 meters deep. Her decks remain intact, her massive frame encrusted in coral, a ghost of Japan's final gamble in a war already lost. Above her, the Pacific drifts calm and endless, just as it did that night in 1944. Somewhere in the depths, the echo of 6 torpedoes still lingers, the moment when a single American submarine, using nothing but radar and courage, brought down a giant. And in that silence, the Archerfish still prowls, unseen, unheard, the hunter that changed naval warfare forever.